Hey, it's me, Nalthazar, and welcome to another Magic the Gathering Puzzle Quest video. In today's video, I get to spoil another new card from the upcoming Lost Caverns of Ixalan set. So, let's get into it. Today's spoiler is going to be the second and final card that I get to spoil from the set, and it is a masterpiece called Curse of Opulence. Curse of Opulence is going to be a 14 mana masterpiece support, and it will be red, it'll have 4 shields, and reads, when a creature attacks, create 2 treasure tokens, and when a player matches a treasure support gem, create a treasure token. So really, the first thing to understanding this upcoming card is going to be understanding how treasure works. So the way that treasure works in Puzzle Quest, or at least the way that it did when Ixalan first came out, and I'm going to go ahead and guess that it's going to work the same way with this set, is there are 4 separate treasure artifact tokens that can enter the board, right? They're going to be support tokens. They're going to enter the battlefield with 1 shield. They are going to reinforce to be able to gain an additional shield. They were based on the original tribes of Ixalan. So you had the Brazen Coalition's loot, you had the Sun Empire's ornaments, you had the Shaper's gear, and you had the Dusk Legion's riches. When treasure tokens would enter the battlefield, what would happen is one of them would come down, for example, the Brazen Coalition's loot, and then if you did not have all 4 of the treasure tokens down, then as you produced more treasure, more of the different treasure tokens would come down until you had all 4 of the Brazen Coalitions, the Sun Empires, the Shapers, and the Dusk Legions. And then once you had all 4 different treasures down on the battlefield, then they would start reinforcing in order. So you would have them all come down, they'd gain 1 shield, and then as more of them came down, they would start reinforcing each other. So I'm going to show a really quick clip as I go, just so you can see how treasure works. I'm going to be basing the clip on an old mythic called Spell Swindle, because Spell Swindle was kind enough to bring all 4 different treasures down on the battlefield. And so on cast of the Spell Swindle, you're going to see that all 4 of my treasures are going to be entering the battlefield. So it's going to be starting with the Brazen Coalition's treasure. It's then going to be putting down the Dusk Legion's treasure. The Shaper's gear is going to come down next, and finally the Sun Empires. Now, for the clip, I'm showing you 2 castings of the spell so you can see what happens when they start to reinforce. And you'll see that they are going back around reinforcing each of the supports until they all have 2 shields. Now, when a treasure token is matched, what's going to happen is if you're the one matching that treasure support gem, you are going to be gaining 3 mana to a random card in your hand. If your opponent matches that gem, then what's going to be happening is a random card in both of your guys' hands are going to be gaining mana. Meaning that this new card, Curse of Opulence, is going to be creating these treasure tokens and is going to be making it so that your hand will be gaining an influx of mana based on your matches, and it's possible that both you and your opponent will be getting an influx of mana based on their matches. Meaning that Curse of Opulence is going to be much more of probably a niche fun card than it's going to be a powerhouse, overpowered sort of thing. Now, because it reads when a creature attacks, you're going to create the 2 treasure tokens. That means that when a creature you control attacks, you're going to create 2 treasure tokens. But also when a creature your opponent controls attacks, you're going to be creating those treasure tokens. So the more creatures there are on the board, the more mana chaos there is going to be entering the board as well. And then because it reads when a player matches a treasure supports gem, create a treasure token, that means that either you or your opponent matching those gems is going to cause another treasure token to come down. This is really cool for treasure because when a treasure token gets matched, it means that another one is going to come down. And since they have 1 shield, that means that if you're down to just the single shield variants of the 4, it's just going to replace itself, or it's going to put the next one down in line, but it's going to make it a lot easier for you to get all 4 different treasures down. And then if you have all 4 of the different treasures down, that means that as they start losing reinforcements to being matched, they're just going to be gaining their reinforcements back, which is going to give your treasures a lot more staying power. And it's going to make it so that if there are going to be other cards in the upcoming set that are going to be based on treasure, or you having all of the treasures, that it's going to give them a significant power boon. In terms of cards that we have in the game right now that I think are going to match pretty well with Curse of Opulence, we have some things at different rarities that I think could be pretty fun. In the Masterpiece rarity, we have things like Hellkite Igniter. It's a Masterpiece dragon. It's red, just like the Curse of Opulence is. And it has an ability that makes it so that when you match red gems, then the dragon is going to get +X+0 until end of turn, equal to the number of artifacts you control, including their reinforcements. So as you've got the Curse of Opulence out, you're just going to be getting a whole bunch of treasures down, and they're going to be reinforcing. So that means that if you've got gem conversion in your deck where you can make multiple red matches in a turn, you could have some pretty fun power boosts to the Hellkite Igniter. Once again, this is more of a fun thing, it's not an overpowered thing, but it's something that you can do. March of the Machines is another masterpiece that's going to pair really well with the whole artifact theme here, and it's going to make it so that at the beginning of your turn, your first creature is going to get a permanent power toughness boost equal to the sum of shields of all artifact supports you control. That means that as you're getting more of these treasure tokens, you're going to be giving permanent power toughness boosts to your creatures, and due to the staying power of the treasures based on the Curse of Opulence, you'll be able to get some really cool power toughness boosts going for your creatures. The last of the masterpieces that exist in the game right now that I think could be pretty cool with this would be Bludgeon Brawl, which is a red masterpiece, so it'll fit really nicely with the Curse of Opulence. And it activates gems and makes it so that your first creature is going to get a power toughness boost equal to the number of equipment cards you control and make gold tokens, but will also make it so that your artifact supports become equipment. So all of the treasures that you get are going to become equipment, which is going to fit well with equipment-themed decks. Now, moving aside from the rares, there are some really cool uncommons that are in the game right now that I think will pair really nicely with this. You have a white saga called Michiko's Reign of Truth, which is going to make it so that on chapters 1 and 2, so for back-to-back turns, target creature you control gets +X until end of turn, equal to the number of artifacts and enchantments you control. The curse itself is an enchantment, so that will count. And then you've got all of the treasure tokens that will wind up powering up your creature as well. And then on chapter 3, you're going to create a portrait of Michiko token, which is a 1/1 token, and it's going to give it, at the beginning of your turn, it gets a power toughness boost equal to the number of artifacts and enchantments you control, including their reinforcements. So this is going to give you a creature that's going to match well with the Curse of Opulence treasure tokens. It is going to be an enchantment because it's a saga. The Curse of Opulence is an enchantment as well, and you're going to get a creature token down that's going to benefit from all of that. So it's a lot of synergy. It's nothing overpowered, but it's just a fun little interaction that you'll be able to do. You've also got Yoshian Descendant, which is a 1/1 critter, and when an artifact enters play under your control, target creature you control gets +1/+1. So anytime a creature of yours attacks, it's going to give a creature a permanent +2/+2 buff. And then whenever you or your opponent matches treasure, that's also going to give creatures that power buff. I suppose it should also be noted that when a creature your opponent attacks, it will also grant the power toughness boost for your creatures with that. We've also got Sarenth Steel Seeker. This is another uncommon creature that has, when an artifact card enters play under your control, if the first card of yours is a library, you're going to fetch, is a land, you're going to fetch it and give it half of its mana, or destroy it. So you could use that in conjunction with Curse of Opulence to filter through your deck, get some lands, but more importantly, throw a bunch of things in your graveyard for some really cool graveyard synergy if you wanted to make a graveyard sort of themed deck. And so you can really maximize effects like these cards that are going to be based on artifacts entering play, or artifacts with their reinforcements, or shield counts, or things of that nature. The card that I'm most looking forward to pairing with Curse of Opulence was one that you saw a brief glimpse of in the little clip that I showed for how treasure works, which is going to be Captain Lannery Storm. She's a legacy card, but she made me love pirates back in the original Ixalan set. She was my favorite card to play outside of the dinosaurs, and made it so that I really enjoyed the Ixalan-themed event back in the day that made a whole bunch of extra treasures come down, or pirates would get extra power with treasures. So what she does is she makes it so that when she attacks, you find a treasure, but more importantly, when a treasure enters the battlefield, pirates you control get +X+0 until end of turn, where X is the number of treasures you control. So that winds up making it so that you get some pretty significant power buffs to all of your pirates. And if you're playing a pirate-themed deck with 3 pirates down, then that's going to make it so that you're going to be getting that power boost to all 3 of your creatures. Now, what's really cool about Curse of Opulence with Captain Lannery Storm is that Lannery attacks and creates a treasure. With Curse of Opulence, 2 more treasures are going to come down, which means that's 3 power boosts to all of your creatures, When your second pirate attacks, that's going to create 2 more treasures for 5 total, and that's going to cause 2 more triggers of that power boost to all of your creatures. And then when the third and final pirate you control attacks, you're going to get the 7th treasure down, right? 6 and 7, and that's going to give 7 power-ups total to all of your pirates. And that's not including if you wind up matching any treasures with the bottom portion of the Curse of Opulence. So this will definitely make me go back to Legacy and play this for giggles. It definitely doesn't have power to rival something like Omniscience, but I think it'll be really fun. And so I think that that's really what this card encapsulates, is that there's a lot of different ways that you can play this, and there's a lot of different ways that you'll be able to make it fun. It's going to be a fun card. It's not going to be an OP chase card. It's got a lot of flavor to it. I love the flavor. Treasure as a mechanic is a treasure that can benefit both players, but it benefits you a little bit more. And Curse of Opulence really follows that theme by making it so that whenever either player attacks, treasure comes down. When either player matches a treasure, treasure comes down. So it keeps that whole theme of treasure can affect both players and is based on the decisions that both players make in their matching. And that's very much going to be the theme of this card. So if there's anything that I missed in terms of my analysis of this card, please go ahead and put that in the comments. I love the discussions that take place there. I really appreciate all of your guys' reception to the last spoiler that I had. I want to really, really, really thank Webcore Games for letting me do this, for sending me these cards. This is an amazing opportunity for me to do, and it's really exciting. I hope that I'm able to do this again in the future. This was really, really fun, really, really cool. I had a nice time just going through all of the different cards and looking for how I would do different things for this card. And it made me take a much more in-depth look at it than I would have normally, given that it's not a card that I think is naturally like a chase card. So I hope you guys enjoyed the spoilers. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.